Same Right Fashion Academy YouTube channel for another interesting tutorial. So today's tutorial, I'll be showing you the easiest way to make your frills on your skirts with less stress. So for your frills, for your skirt, as you can see right there on the thumbnail, you need your skirt pattern. So I'm making my skirt pattern right now. Okay, then you are going to cut out your skirt and then attach the skirt in between it. So this is our center front to make the frills, and this is the waist part of the skirt. So even if you are making a gown or you are making a skirt, we still have it at the same point. So right here, I'm just assuming this is my skirt pattern. So I'm drawing the lines of my skirt pattern that I need for my skirt. So it depends on the length of the skirt you want. This is my upper hip line, and this is my lower hip line, and then this is my knee line for my skirt, then my full length of my skirt. So now I'm going to impute my waist circumference divided by 4, as all of us know, and I'll come over to my hip. I'm going to mark out my hip position, and once I do that, I'll connect my skirt lines. This is the front piece of my skirt I'm drafting right here, and I'll also mark out same for the length of my skirt. Okay, so what I'm using here to demonstrate this is a straight skirt. So if you want it a pencil skirt, of course you know how to go about it. So now I'm going to insert these frills. I'm going to have the frills at the center front. The center front is not going to be on fold, because we are going to have a frill inserted to it. So that means we are cutting 2 times of this front piece skirt, just like you cut your back skirt and add zipper in between. So you'll be adding 0.5-inch seam allowance to sew your frills at the center. Then we are going to have another frill by the side. So looking at what we have on the thumbnail, we are cutting 3 frills or ruffles for the center and the side of this skirt. So what I want to teach you is the easiest way to go about your frills, as you can see right there on the thumbnail. So what we have there is frill. So right there on the thumbnail, I'll be measuring what I have by the side of my skirt for my frills. So I will measure from my waist where I want those frills to be. You can see what I measured here. I have 25 here, and at the center I have 25 also. Okay, sorry, I have 25 here, 25 inches because of the curve. So it's going to be have a longer length because we have a curve, a hip curve right here. Okay, so I just take my measurement again. I have 25, but for the front, because the front is straight, we are not going to have it at the same 25. So here is 24.5. Okay, 0.5. So take note of all these figures. So that is what we are going to use to achieve our frills. So I'm going to set this frill aside, the pattern aside. Like I said, I'm teaching you the easiest way to make your frills. If you want your frills much as it is right there on the thumbnail, this is how to go about it. Simply fold your fabric. What I have here is my fabric. So just get your fabric that you want to use. You can make use of 2 yards. You can make use of a yard. So what I'm doing here is folding my 360. I'm folding my 360. You know how 360 is being folded. I folded the first one, and here I'm folding the second one. Okay, so that's how to fold at 360. So these frills I'm making right now, I have a constant radius for it. I'm not using the measurement of those lengths we calculated for now. So I'm using 2 inches radius plus 4 inches, which is the length. So everything will give me 6 inches plus 1 inch, which is my seam allowance for sewing the frill, turning it with another, the lining part, and the sewing it into the skirt. I believe you understand that. So this is my 2 inches. I'm using a constant radius. So these 2 inches, I'll use it to cut all my frills. So once I cut them, I'll start joining them together. So I've marked my radius. This is radius of 2 inches. That will give you a perfect frill for that skirt. And like I said, the rest of it, the actual length of the frill is 4 inches, but I added my seam allowance, making it 5 inches. So you can see me cutting my radius at 5 inches. So right now, I'm going to cut out this. So this particular pattern I'm going to cut out, I'm going to use it to cut as many frills as possible, as many circles as possible. So this is the circle, as you can see. Okay, so I'm going to use it. So you use this pattern and place on your fabric. And if you are cutting it on fabric, then you also use it as a pattern and place. Okay, so at each section of my fabric I place, I will do this. If this is my fabric, I'll be using my chalk to mark the center of my fabric. You can actually fold the fabric. You can actually fold it into maybe 4. You can actually fold into 2. So let me see what I have will enter. Okay, since I'm using pepper, if you notice, you can see I've already exhausted my pepper. So because if I put it by 2 now, I'll be getting more number of this, because I really need so much number of this frill because I have a long length to work with. So I believe you understand what I mean. So if you fold it by 2, let me just pretend folding it by 2. Okay, although I've already my pattern paper has been tampered with. So if this is your fabric, just use your chalk and mark out the shape. Okay, so if you still want, you can place it with your pin and do what I'm doing right now. Okay, so it will help you make so many frills. Okay, so for such frills you have on the thumbnail, you can hairstay your fabric before you do this. So if you want, you can still work with it without hairstay. Give it a good press and to stitch nicely. So once that is done, I'll just bend it this way. Can you see? While I still have it on, I still have my pins on it. So once I bend it this way, I'll just cut out the radius. So I'll make as many numbers as possible, like I said. As many number circles as possible. Because the frills we have there are 2 inches radius. You will have more than, what I have here is 3. But you'll be having more than 3. Okay, you'll be having like up to 12 numbers of those frills, because it depends on your length anyway. One length or center front can take up to 5. And remember, you are cutting both lining and fabric, so you are going to cut so many number frills. So just have it in mind. So but I'll be using these 3 sample frills to demonstrate to you how to go about it. So in each of them, I will cut this way, as you can see. In each of them, I will cut this way, and in each of them, I will just cut this way. So what I did now is making my flounces or my frills. So I'll start joining them. So if I go over to my machine, I'll join them, open up the seams, give them a good press. Like I say, hairstay the frills only, but don't put stay to it unless you are making a flounce that you want to stand. Okay, so all you need is your hairstay. So I've sewn this now. I've used my gum to sew it in. I'll bring in another one. I'll also use my gum to sew it in, as you can see. So once that is done, you will now go over to sew your frills. So note that this frill, you are going to actually take the measurements, or if you don't want to take the measurements, this is what you can do. I'll bring back my skirt. This is my skirt pattern. So I'll be using the side to demonstrate to you how the frills will be sewn. So this is the radius which I've joined the 3 frills to. So this frill will be sewn from here, okay, which is the side of the skirt. So you keep sewing it this way. You keep sewing this way. Can you see? Can you see it's forming the frills for us? So if I have to do this, let me just gum that line so you understand what we are talking about. So what I use here is 3 frills for 25 inches length. So you don't need to bother yourself. All you need to do is just gauge it. Use your eye and gauge the length. Okay? So if you gauge it, you will determine whether you'll be cutting 4 or you'll be cut, or you can measure the inner part if you wish. You can measure the radius. So this is it. I'm sewing my frills right now by the sides of my skirt, so you can see it right here. Okay, so I'm working with paper here, and you can see we have our frills laying nice and flat. Okay, so if you cut on fabric, you will have a much more better result. So you can see that for 25 inches, the 2 inches radius I'm making for this 25 inches, I'm not even going to exhaust the 3 circles, okay, I made right here. So that means for 25 inches with 2 inches radius, you'll be having about 2 circles. So if the length of your skirt is about 50 or so, or about 45, because it can't get to 50 unless you are really very tall. So if it's about 45 from the waistline, then you know you'll be cutting 2 circles. So this is the frill, and this is the excess I have. So you see, I even have more than, can you see? I even have more than. So these are my frills. And if I have to continue with what I have on the center front, this is the part that I'll also lay at the center front. So let me just do that on the center, although the center front needs another. So let's leave it the way it is, but I believe you understand what we did here. So this is the easiest way to go about your frill. Just go ahead and cut 2 inches radius and you are good to go. There's no much measurements, no much thing. This is it, and that is how we'll come to the end of this tutorial. So thank you very much for coming to this class, and see you in the next class.